Not what you think, Fred. All right.
Fred.
Like, dude, you're an idiot.
I'm doing very well, Jen. Is it just gonna be me and you, or Eli and Zach gonna pop in?
Yeah, they'll talk every once in a while. But
Every now and then we'll kind of
he was already right away.
It kind of, well, we're used to you attacking us, so.
Yeah. that is-
Sorry.
Look at
Let's just put it this way. Who do you see as the quarterback week 1 for the Green Bay Packers?
I see.
Welcome in, everybody, to a little surprising, little sad edition of Open Book here on Game On Wisconsin. As
Is
always,
it surprising?
I feel like it, yeah, the last month.
People who invested their entire heart into believing, yes.
Yeah. A little. I guess I was not preparing mentally for this episode, but it's becoming a yearly tradition. A few days after the season ends, we come on here and just take all of our frustrations out and really just let loose. So, Zach, Jen, again, not the most exciting of episodes, but let's get through it and do what we got to do. So, just starting off, that Lions game. Like what, just walking out, I mean, I know all of us were confident going in. What do you think was the biggest factor in the Packers' loss, Zach?
The number one factor in like why they lost?
Yeah.
I don't want to say the quarterback because you'll jump down my throat, but
No, go ahead.
no, I don't think it was Aaron. I don't think it was Aaron Rodgers. I thought he played a really good first half, and I said that. And a lot of people thought they were being very brave, and they went back and dunked on that tweet 2 hours later. But It's true. He played well in the first half, and you have to take into account the fact that he got like no help. He got no help from his supporting cast. A.J. Dillon dropped the pass. Romeo Doubs dropped 2 passes. The offensive line was playing terribly, and on the interception, it looked like it was A.J. Dillon that missed a very key block, and Aaron Rodgers just laid it up there to give Christian Watson a chance. Thing is, it was a very poorly thrown ball, which I can't fault him for because he had a guy right in his face. So it is what it is. But the number one factor, I think, I really can't. It's the miscues. It's the errors, the self-inflicted wounds. Because you can't really say like, oh, there was like one thing that happened that led to their downfall, because it was a pretty even game most of the way. I mean, the Lions hung in there and they looked like the team, even though the Packers were playing for a spot in the playoffs, the Lions looked like the team that wanted it more. And that's really just what it boils down to. The Packers got outcoached.
Yeah, that I definitely agree with. And well, Jen, I did think that definitely. Well, by the way, the fact that I wasn't at that game, I have to admit, kind of was a bit of a relief. But all right, Jen, what would you say was the biggest issue for the Packers versus the Lions Sunday night?
I mean, like, to me, it just felt like they never had any kind of fire. Like, they didn't come into the game looking like they wanted to win the game. And then, things spiral, there's turnovers and all that stuff that just kind of make it harder to get the momentum. But it never really felt like they had that true momentum swing. And I mean, like the previous week, they relied a lot on, Keyshawn Nixon with a touchdown, defense with a touchdown. And it's like, you can't rely on those things. It just kind of felt like there was never a moment where there was enough of a spark that really got them going. They just kind of didn't come out firing, and it's like having to rely a lot on Mason Crosby. It's like, I mean, he's a good kicker, but you shouldn't have to be making him make like 53-yard field goals. You should be able to execute in the red zone. And I think just not being able to punch one in early kind of killed them. And I mean, I don't know where I said it or if I said it anywhere like on record, but I was more worried about playing the Lions if they had nothing to play for than, if it would have been winner gets the playoff spot, because basically the Lions can go out there and do whatever they want to try and do to make sure that we didn't get that spot. And they just kind of had more fuel in them than what I saw from the Packers. And it just kind of, after coming off such a big win against the Vikings, to see them revert back to what was happening a couple months ago, it was really, really hard. And like, we never saw them in those months when they were losing ever find a way to get that momentum back and find ways to win. It's like, yeah, there's big plays here and there, but just never enough to like make them, like, they just didn't look like they wanted it enough. And I think that's kind of one of the really tough things watching that game is if they would have lost, like a respectable loss. I think I could have stomached it a little bit easier, but I mean, it was just everything was so ugly and it was so hard to see, and there's just so many things that were like they didn't make sense what was happening. So yeah, I mean, an ugly season with an ugly exclamation point to send it off.
Yeah, definitely. So, okay, I was going to address this. Well, I was first going to address this. I assume Riley is joking as he usually does.
I've
but
never taken anything Riley says seriously
I
ever.
did not agree.
Yeah, it's not even worth addressing. Be serious.
He literally has a clown nose on his picture. So
But yeah, kind of what, piggybacking off what you guys said, I feel like there were obviously a lot of issues, but yeah, the team, it was really a team effort of just not doing nearly a good enough job to forget a decently good team in the Lions, but even beat not a great team. I mean, all the drops, like you mentioned, Alan Lazard also had that key drop where what are you doing? You're spinning around before you catch it. You're not bringing the ball to your body. The Aaron Jones fumble, at least for me, probably the biggest play, the biggest game-changing play.
okay, speaking of Alan Lazard, before I forget, can we talk about like why are we having him do jet sweeps? Like why are we trying to get fancy with like your best blocking receiver and he's not fast enough?
Receiver. Yeah.
There's nothing. I love the call, the jet sweep call. I love that they're being creative.
They ran it.
It's just it's a matter of they're using the wrong guy for it. You can
Alan
use
Lazard
literally
should be out there blocking for whoever's sweeping.
Yeah, literally any other one of the receivers on that depth chart. You can do it with Samori fucking Toure for all I care. It doesn't matter. They ran that play to the opposite side with Christian Watson later, and he's like 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he gains positive yardage somehow because he's so goddamn fast and he turns the corner. Jen, I'm trying to talk, Jen. Okay.
I'm agreeing. Like my interruption is agreeing with you, if that means anything at all.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know if it means much to Zach.
That's because Eli before the show got Zach all mad at me for literally no reason. So now.
No, I was already mad at you.
Exactly. Zach came here mad.
Come on. What did I do?
But yes.
Like one joke. Like I haven't talked to you guys in like days, and I make one joke, and it's
No.
That's right.
This
isn't milk, by the way. This is bourbon.
It looks like milk.
It's fucking really good.
Is it
really?
Is it the stuff that Eli sent you?
Yeah. What is it? Evan Williams or some shit?
Yeah, it just looks like
the white stuff.
A cup of protein.
Yeah. Eli sent me a cup of white stuff. And I'm drinking it. It's good.
I've sent a lot of people cups of white stuff, but like you guys said, it drove me nuts. And I don't mind the call that much, but like you both just said, Alan Lazard just not the guy to do it with. And that was kind of going to be my next point, was kind of the play calling was, to me, a very big part in just starting the game. First to goal at the 5-yard line, to kick a field goal, gain basically no yards. The offensive line couldn't block anyone, couldn't open any running holes. Whopper.
Get out of here, Sam.
That was for me just very frustrating. And I wanted to bring this up to you guys, and I'm sure people have strong opinions about it, but this is not a roast Matt LaFleur situation, but it's more of just how I feel about it. I feel like he's not a terrible coach, not a shit coach, he's not bad, and he definitely has very good qualities to him as a coach. But I almost feel like we've seen now 4 years, big games, all losses, the last 3 in Lambeau. I almost just feel like he doesn't have that, like the core qualities of getting a team over the hump. And like in those big moments, so many of our losses over the last 4 years, the big games, you look back, and whether it's a questionable play calling, questionable decision making, let's say with the offensive line last year, Dennis Kelly starting. So that almost feels like, I don't know if they could get over the hump with him, but how do you?
Well, how do you quantify, like, what does it mean to have what it takes to get a team over the hump? Because at some point it falls on the players too. Like, guys got to be able to execute.
But you go and you kick that field goal versus Tampa Bay, down 8, to go be down by 5, still needing a touchdown. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Last year against San Francisco, playing Dennis Kelly over, I think it was Yash or other options at right tackle, the offensive line was embarrassed.
It wasn't only him that had a hand in that decision.
Yeah, Stenovich was a part of that.
Stenovich, Luke Butkus, it was multiple guys that had a hand in that. And the field goal thing, I see it from both sides. Like, either way, no matter what, he would have been fucking skewered no matter what decision he makes.
If they didn't get it on 4th, he would have been roasted.
It would have been the same thing we saw last year at the field goal. You get it, or like if you go for whatever, like the whole thing, you either look like the hero or you look like an idiot. And
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
that's the tough part when you're the head coach. You take a lot of that heat. So
Yeah, no, it's gonna fall.
I think like the fire Matt LaFleur stuff is just absolute nonsense though. Like his first losing season is 8-9, like after 2 really good seasons.
And this isn't necessarily, I'm done with him, but it's more just I just am nervous that maybe he's just not going to be the guy to get them there. That's all.
I think when he's saying stuff like Joe Barry's gonna be back, that's where I start to question him, because it doesn't sound like there's gonna be like necessary changes made. But
I didn't read too much.
Like, what?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, it just almost seems like something that he has to say, but hopefully like isn't true.
No, exactly that. I think what we saw the other day was just coach speak. It's still very, very early in the whole process. Like he hadn't even met with the coaches or the players by the time he had that presser. So it's just very, very early. And he said he anticipates Joe Barry being back. He anticipates that whole staff being back together. But we truly don't know what's going to happen. The thing is, I will say that this organization has been so successful for so goddamn long because they don't make impulsive decisions. They don't make impulsive firings or impulsive hirings. They don't make decisions with emotion involved.
The Texans is that they're about to go on their third coach in 3 years. The Packers just aren't going to do that, and I like the way they run, at least in terms of that. But I mean, you guys are just mentioning Barry, other changes to the staff, so I guess this has to be brought up, even if it's just for fun. But Matt LaFleur's brother, Mike LaFleur, former offensive coordinator for the Jets, they have decided to mutually part ways. Obviously, the Jets are the Jets, but let's not go too much into that, but just initial thought, like any chances you think Matt LaFleur tries to get his brother in, or do you think that's just a nice little story, something maybe along these lines? Because I honestly think Stanovich was great at offensive line. I don't know if he's necessarily cut out to be an offensive coordinator.
I know that the Packers have tried doing it before. They contemplated bringing in Michael LaFleur, but I would do it. I mean, I would definitely personally do it. Or,
does that mean you want to see LaFleur give up play calling? Because that's one thing. It depends on who he's giving it up to. But
considering, that's the thing. It needs context. Like whoever he's giving it up to, yeah, sure. But I mean, like Matt LaFleur, that's the one thing that we've seen with like Matt LaFleur in his 4 seasons. Like he's not the best play caller. He calls very peculiar things given situations. And he hasn't really given you much of a reason to trust him as a play caller. Now, I'm more a fan of bumping Adam Stanovich back into the offensive line room, letting him oversee that, than I am bringing in Mike LaFleur as an OC. I think just no matter who they bring in as an OC and
I was moving towards.
Yeah, and give like the play calling duties to, whatever, do what you have to do. But Adam Stanovich should kind of be brought back into that offensive line room.
Yeah, I don't think just because you were a great offensive line coach, I don't think that automatically translates to offensive coordinator. And looking at the offense this year, I think that was pretty clear. And yeah, like you said, it will matter sort of, I guess, who he gives it up to, but I would not at all complain. And in fact, I would be pretty pleased to see him give a play calling, because that for me, I mean, you guys follow me on Twitter enough to know that every single game I have to bring it up because I can't stop myself, because it drives me nuts. Like some of the play calls seem so impossibly ridiculous. Like, how did you even think to do this? So I hope so. It was also Zach. I don't know. It was one of you. I think Zach, you might have mentioned on Twitter, Rodgers' comment about those last 3 play calls stung. And I don't know about you. I'm starting to feel like there's definitely some like underlying tension between Rodgers and LaFleur right now, and maybe there already has been. But.
He said. I'm not going to go through my fucking notes right now, but he said something along the lines of, he doesn't feel like commenting on it right then and there. So it was a really weird.
Like, there's a lot I can say, but I won't say it now.
Yeah. That was what it was. He's like, there's a lot I can say, but I'm not going to say it right now and right here. So yeah, very clearly there's some kind of like disconnect there right now. And I mean, I don't know. That's like all we know about it. It's just Aaron Rodgers did not sound really pleased in that presser when he was asked why the offense couldn't get going. So yeah, it was a very strange reaction.
All right. So I guess now that Aaron Rodgers has been brought up, we might as well get to that portion of the show.
Can you do it without crying?
I've been very good, and I have to say, this loss for some reason, even though I actually had some legitimate hope that if they could get in, they could actually do something in the playoffs. Like obviously it sucks, but I don't know. It didn't hit me that I maybe hadn't decided to accept it yet, but I kind of just was like, all right, well, on to the next one.
Thank you, Tyler. We love you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for checking in. But yeah, just kind of.
No, I was the same way, and I think I even said as much. This team broke my spirit in like so long ago. Like I think it was the Arizona game. I think that was like the last time I actually felt something in regards to like the Packers losing in the playoffs. Like ever since then, it's just like you have this numb feeling where like you go into the postseason kind of like expecting
the worst.
Yeah, which in a way is good. I don't want to sound like Aaron Rodgers or anything, but if you go in expecting the worst, then you're going to be pleasantly surprised when that doesn't happen. So, yeah, no, I felt absolutely nothing. It's like the game ended, and I was like, huh, shit, there they are, Aaron Rodgers, Randall Cobb walking down the tunnel, probably for the last time, huh? That's crazy. Yeah, that was sad.
That was like, I think that was like the realest moment because it was like. It made it too real, and it reminded me too much of the picture from years ago, where it's like I just like I was kind of like okay, I was like oh man, like this really sucks, and like we know this is gonna happen, and then that happens, and it's just like oh my gosh, it's my emotion like not like I'm like bawling on the couch, but it's like I like didn't eat that. Like I didn't eat going into the game because I was so nervous all day, and then I like couldn't eat after because I was like, man, I'm just like so sad. And then I just like stared at nothing till 2 a.m. Like, and it's just like all that. Like, yeah, that just made it too real because it's like you don't really know, and that's the thing. Every time a season ends, is like it's gonna be a different team no matter what going into next year. And I mean, they're best friends, and it's like they might never step on the field together again. And two players who like. Many people have loved for many years. It's like it makes it too real. It's like too humanized. Like the loss is too humanizing in that moment, and you like remember, like it's like the parts that are more than just football in those moments. And yeah, that's what makes it so tough.
I find solace in the fact that we were probably going to get a moment like that whether they won or lost, because regardless, no matter what, that was their last time playing at Lambeau Field together. More than likely, I don't know what's going to happen next season, but
yeah.
We were going to get something emotional like that anyway. So like, I find a little bit of like, comfort in that. It's just, it's a shame when it's, they're trailing on the scoreboard when the clock hits double zeros,
Yeah. No, for some reason, I think I was more depressed making that video I made of Rodgers and Cobb than watching like that.
Crying at your computer.
I was going through the whole careers. And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? Like the game, I get it. I'm going to watch. I'm going yeah, basically Goo Goo Gaga. So let's just have a quick little just discussion about Rodgers, Love, what you want to see, what you think you'll see. Jen, what do you want to see, and what do you think is going to be realistic? Just like who's going to be the quarterback in your opinion, 2023?
I'm like a terrible person to ask this question too, because I have such emotional attachment issues where I think like the way I've like just like internalized it with myself, it's like I love Aaron Rodgers so much and like everything he's done. And I'm so appreciative that if he does come back, like I will have no problem rooting for him. And if he chooses to retire, like it's gonna really, really suck. But I'm going to be okay accepting like, the situation. And I have like no issue with Love if that's the move that they make. I think honestly what's gonna be hard, like I don't see them trading him. But I think that would truly be like the hardest thing. Like if he chooses to retire, like I'm okay with it. If he chooses to come back, I'm okay with it. But I really think that if there were a trade and he goes and plays somewhere else, that would be what's the hardest part for me. So, I mean, I am accepting of whatever situation comes about, but that would definitely be the hardest one because then like I would have to see a player who basically helped me fall in love with football playing for someone else. And I think that's just kind of the difficulty that I would have. But I mean, no matter what, I'm kind of trying to brace myself. I mean, it's not like Jordy where it just like happened out of nowhere. Like I have time to kind of like settle in with what could possibly be. And it's like, I know everybody's asking me because of the comment. Like I have like kids who are in like middle school asking me like, well, what about the jersey thing? Like, what does that mean? It's like Rodgers says a lot of things, and it's just like it could be one of those I never know kind of moments. And I mean, he's not going to make the decision right now because, like he said, he's going to take the emotion out of it. But I mean, I know there's a lot of people who like really, really, really do not want him back. Yeah. And I can understand the perspective of it. I think it's just like I enjoy watching him play football too much to be able to like say I'm ready to move on. And I think like that's just how I am like as a person. There's plenty of times where I should have like moved on from situations and I didn't because I hold on to things. But no, I think that if they what?
And I was just saying that I agree with you. By far the worst outcome of this whole situation.
I mean, honestly, like
be a trade.
If I could still have like Clay Matthews and like Donald Driver, like if I was in charge of this team, they'd be ancient because I just have a problem, like a sentimental problem letting these guys go because like it's just it's more than just like watching them throw a football or catch a football or anything like that. It's just like all of a sudden the last pieces of the team that I fell in love with are leaving. You know, it's just Crosby and Rodgers. So the last ones from like those first days that I really invested myself in football, I think that's kind of like what's making it the hardest for me is that like eventually this new era is going to roll in and it's going to just kind of, you know, weigh on me a little bit because the team that I, you know, because I watched Brett Favre when I was young, but I didn't understand or like pay attention. It was just kind of, I would watch games, but I didn't really invest in it. But now it's kind of getting to the point where like, obviously I'm very invested in it and I know these players and like, I've watched them for so many years and yeah, it's kind of like, you know, the end's coming, but you're just kind of like, at least for me, it's like, I'm not ready for the end, but when it comes, like, I don't have a choice to accept, like, but to accept it when it does happen.
Yeah. That is the unfortunate reality we might all have to deal with.
I suck at the business side of football for sure.
So you would not be a good GM. We'll send you to Chicago. That works out.
Perfect. I'll hold on to those guys forever.
Zach, how about you? Again, what do you think we're going to see and what would you like to see personally?
Get that fucking hippie out of here, baby. Bring in Jordan Love. Yeah. No, I'm just
Shut up.
No, I'm just kidding. What I would do, I would try to trade him.
Oh, like the one thing I don't want.
The worst possible outcome of this whole thing, and you got to throw it out.
I'm sorry.
I'm like over here talking about how like seeing him trade would be the worst thing ever. Zach, like do it.
Well, because I'm thinking as
Zach is more realistic than I am.
I'm trying to think about like
money
what
wise
an organization. No. What an organization would do. I mean, they're trying. You got to capitalize on whatever value Aaron Rodgers has left. Now he doesn't have as much value as he did coming off of an MVP season, but you can still try to trade him and gain assets because at the end of the day, it's a business, and you need draft capital. You need the free financial space to navigate it the way you want. You drafted Jordan Love for a reason. You drafted him and you actively traded up. You traded a 4th rounder to move up to number 26 to draft Jordan Love because you thought he was going to be your future. Granted, Aaron Rodgers was coming off of that 2019 season where he didn't look that great. He looked like it was 2018 all over again. He looked like he didn't really improve. And then he proved everyone wrong. So maybe that threw a little bit of a corkscrew into the Packers' plans. But at the end of the day, you still have Jordan Love. And no matter what, whether they pick up his 5th-year option or not, which I think that's going to be indicative of what direction they want to go, he's going to be under contract next season no matter what. So I would trade Aaron Rodgers, get draft capital, and I'm taking my emotions out of this because, trust me, Aaron Rodgers is my, I would say, first or second favorite football player ever. Like whenever I played football, I tried to be like him.
We need the other option. Is it Charles Woodson? We need the other. Who's the other guy?
I know who it used to be, but I'm sure he's been bumped.
It was it was Charles Woodson.
Boom.
I'm a big Brett Favre fan though.
Well, Brett Favre was the reason I ever picked up a football and like played, just because I wanted to be like him. But as I grew, I was a teenager and stuff.
And Favre just stole all of his money.
Yeah, I don't want to steal from poor people, so I don't want to be too much like him.
I could see Zach spending his time doing that, but yeah, go ahead.
But I loved Aaron Rodgers. I loved the player, watching him, how he progressed, and just I mean that 2011 season, that time frame, 2009 to 2011 was like my favorite time watching football, just as a fan. Like those were the best years of my football watching life. Those 3-4 seasons. But you have to accept you can't prolong, a window that isn't open anymore. You can't defend against the inevitable. Like this is going to happen. There's going to be a time where Aaron Rodgers, fuck you, Sam. There's going to be a time where Aaron Rodgers isn't the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers anymore. And whether he's retired or he's up playing on another team, who knows? He has talked in the past before about wanting to finish his career the way Tim Duncan did and the way Kobe did, just all with one team. So I can't see him playing for another team. If the conversation of a trade comes up, maybe he would just rather retire. I don't know. I mean, I think he was motivated early on in his career to just eclipse everything Brett Favre did. He wanted to surpass his predecessor, and he's done that. He's done that tenfold. He's like, when you think of the greatest Green Bay Packers quarterbacks ever, I mean, Aaron Rodgers usually leads the conversation.
You would hope so.
Yeah, so that's what I would do. Now, as an organization, realistically, I think he's back next season because, like I said, they still have Jordan Love. He's going to be under contract. I think he's going to be back. They'll run it back one more time, and I don't know what this roster is going to look like. I don't know if see, that's why there's so many things tied into this. It's like the future of David Bakhtiari.
Exactly. That's a huge part. Bakhtiari's not back. Rodgers is not coming back.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah.
No
there's no
No
fucking
Bakhtiari,
way.
no Cobb.
No Cobb, no Mercedes.
No Randall Cobb, no Mercedes
Exactly.
Lewis.
Rodgers is back. Lewis is back. Bakhtiari's back. And Cobb is at least a chance.
Yeah,
Rodgers
the
isn't back.
conversation is just depressing me.
I know. But that whole group is gone. If Rodgers isn't back, anyone over the age of 27 is not going to be on this team.
Yeah, because I mean they're gonna move, and I don't want to call it a rebuild because the way this team is positioned, they position themselves year by year to remain competitive year by year. They're not gonna purposely enter the dark ages and initiate a 3, 4, 5 year rebuild.
No.
This isn't fucking Jerry Krause and the '98 Chicago Bulls. This isn't that.
Why would you bring that up? I was barely alive, but it still hurt me.
So I mean, yeah. I think he's back next season. Now,
Ron,
if it was me in charge,
I'm
getting him out of here. I'm getting draft capital.
Honestly, again, I don't want to see him play for another team. I definitely don't, but I obviously see where you're coming from. If they are deciding, well, Love's the guy, and then Aaron Rodgers calls them in 2 months and is like, well, guess what? I'm not retiring. I'm coming back.
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't pull a Brett Favre on them.
Not retire and unretire. Just saying that the Packers in their head, not some official announcement, but the Packers staff is all right, we're going to move on with Jordan. Hopefully Aaron retires, whatever. And then he decides yo, I'm not retiring, because I think Rodgers, as much as he has said about, by the way, you left out Dirk, which was really offensive. Dirk, Kobe, Duncan. Dirk, greatest basketball player ever. Either way.
That's just categorically false, but go off.
I feel like we talked about Dirk and I didn't know who it was, and then I got yelled at.
You didn't. You also didn't know who Dennis Rodman was.
Yeah, Dennis Rodman. The guy married me.
Funny hair.
Yeah.
I think I looked up a picture.
I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, Dennis Rodman is a great guy. But either way, I think Aaron Rodgers is the kind of guy that if he decides, like he said 100 times this year, it has to be mutual on both sides if he wants to come back. And if he decides I want to play, and the Packers say no, we're good, we're going to go with Jordan Love, is Aaron Rodgers not the most classic guy in the world to say, oh, okay, fuck you, trade me, and I'm going to go try to win a Super Bowl somewhere else? Now,
fuck yeah.
Right?
He's fueled by resentment and his ego. He would 100% do that.
He's the most likely person I could think of to do that. So that's why I'm praying that either he just comes back and there's no, Packers don't say we don't want you, which I don't think they will. I mean, LaFleur, I know LaFleur has to say that, but LaFleur and Goody have both been adamant about Rodgers being a part of the future. He just signed a 4-year extension. Or just go away and retire. Again, not that I would say I would want that, but I just don't need to see this turn into another messy offseason, a potentially Favre-like situation where Rodgers gets traded. He hates the Packers. They hate him. It's a whole thing. It's not needed at this point. And I hate to say it, but barring real changes to the roster, I don't think they win a Super Bowl next year, regardless of who's the quarterback. So come back, don't come back. I think Love's still going to be there. I think if Love is the guy, he'll be the guy in a year, or he'll be the guy this upcoming year. But like, he's not going to lose it or get it by now. He's like going into year 4. He needs to have it already. So yeah, again, I don't have to say it. Obviously, I'm not going to turn down any amount of time with Aaron Rodgers. Like, for me, it's simple. Every year we have Aaron Rodgers our quarterback. All right, that's one season. And then for the rest of our lives, for many, many years, hopefully, we are not going to see him as quarterback. So why not just get every damn game we could? And I'm not going to argue with any fan that says otherwise, because I get it. Like, at the end of that game, I would be lying if there wasn't a part of me that's just like, dude, maybe it's just time. Like, not because I don't want to see him there, but I can't stand listening.
I'm gonna tell him you fucking said that.
Yeah, well, he's watching right now. But why? Because I can't stand the hatred. And this goes beyond just football. I don't know if you guys spend any time, wasting your time, I should say, watching like sports, TV, talk shows. But the whole world hates this guy more than I can think of any other athlete hated for not doing anything like actively wrong.
And it's not even like he doesn't come out and be like, he's not like, maybe I'm gonna retire, maybe I'm not gonna retire. I guess you guys are gonna have to find out. He literally fucking said,
straight up,
take the emotions out of it. And free agency is in the middle of March, so I'm gonna have my decision before then, just like he did last year.
But he's not gonna hold the team hostage, and it's like
not gonna hold the team hostage.
He can't end that game and then be like, "Yep, you know what? I'm retiring." Like, see you guys.
Yeah, like, he hasn't, like, other than when he's asked in his press conferences, he hasn't said a fucking thing about retirement. Yeah. He's not liking subliminal tweets on Twitter like most players do nowadays, or retweeting things,
or like unfollowing the team and like doing all that weird
stuff. Don't get me wrong. He's not like nowadays. He's a little fucking like, you know, weird,
complicated, sure,
complicated, definitely perplexing. I think he's a complicated fella. Thank you, Andy.
Fella.
He's a complicated fucking fella. But
he's very smart about his words, though. Like, he knows what he's doing.
He's very, very, very selective about what he says. He's very smart.
Yeah, and I haven't watched a ton this year, but I'll be honest, over the 4-game win streak, I did watch more than I did before. And no matter what, I mean, yes, he wasn't playing at his MVP level, but it didn't matter. They won 1. Oh, they're going to lose next week. They won 2. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're going to lose. They're never going to make it. They won 3. Just every single time. And again, it's not even just about football, because they're not even talking about him as a football player. It just seems like people they don't want to see him succeed. They love to hate him a lot. And obviously, I know for me, maybe I noticed these things more, but it did feel nice that neither of you disagreed, but because it really does. I feel like people they can't stand him and they want to see him gone so badly. And I just don't get it.
No, I honestly again, the game ended and I was like, Twitter is not the place I want to be. I've muted so many accounts. It's like, I just have a tough time, like, with any player. Like, I even had, like, when people were mad that Randall Cobb came back, I had a really tough time with, like, people who didn't like, because it's like, I like this player, I like this person. It's really hard for me to just see people, like, bash this person, like, this player, guy that, like, I've loved for so many years. And it's like, that's just how it is. Like, any people that I care about. So it's just hard for me to be able to, like, see that, where it's like, okay, but if he would have won this game, like, would you have complimented him, or are you just mad at him, or like, are you waiting for this moment to be able to, like, get mad at him and blame it all on him? So yeah, it's going to be Twitter's going to be a terrible place. Like, sports media is going to be a terrible place until we really know. And then the decision, if he doesn't retire and he comes back, it's still going to be a terrible place. And
no matter what, Twitter just finds a way to be terrible, just about all the time. But yeah, all right. So I guess all of us, I think we're all kind of on the side of the fence that he'll probably be back.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us are ruling out any possibility, because we never know. But
guys, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
I really had to come back at some point.
That was a fun episode, actually.
I couldn't breathe after that episode. I had to, like, catch my breath because I was, like, forcing air out.
You should stop smoking that crack pipe.
I just want to address the Quay thing, because, like, in the moment it was because we didn't get a chance to say it. So, like, in the moment, like, it definitely, like, terrible thing. Like, you can't do what he did, but I respect and appreciate his apology, and it felt really genuine. And I mean, like I really wish they wouldn't have shown him going down the tunnel, because like I have a really tough time watching that video. Like that makes me want to cry, because you just like, he's 22. There's just so many emotions. Like you can tell he knows what he did was wrong, what he did was stupid. And there's like instant regret in that moment. And like, I can't stand like continuously seeing that video. And it literally like breaks my heart to see. 'Cause it's like, I don't think there was like malicious intent with what he was doing. I don't think that's the kind of person he is. So when he did come out and speak in the locker room to the media about his genuine apology, about like how he knows that he needs to be able to handle his emotions better, and the way that he said he reached out to the Lions and the trainer and apologized and like hope that they can forgive him, it just felt like, for his age and for like being a rookie in the league, it felt very mature and genuine. And like, it wasn't like somebody said, hey, you have to go say all these things. And I just feel bad, because I know I saw him tweet very similar things, and then eventually like his social media was gone. So I'm sure he's just like getting so much hate and so much crap, and probably so many
social media is gone.
He deleted his Twitter, wasn't there
Okay.
after all that. So it's like, I can only imagine the things that are being tweeted at him. And it's like, he's still a person. He just made a terrible mistake in a place that a lot of people can see it. But like, for me personally, like you can't do what he did 100%. Like that's definitely wrong. But I think that like the aftermath is, you know, the way he handled it was good. And I'm sure that the way people are handling on Twitter is not. And I just hope that like, you know, for his mental health, like I hope that he's in an okay place. 'Cause I mean, I think that he did the right thing in coming out and apologizing the way he did. And I think he did it the right way. So the ejection was terrible. I was not happy in the moment, because I'm sitting on my couch, like, with much less emotion in that game than he has. And I just think that, you know, he mishandled the situation that he could have maybe like better off just walking away from. And, but I 100% like accept the apology that was given from him.
People were way more fucking upset about that. They put way more angry energy into that than they did when it came out that Deshaun Watson's pretty much a fucking rapist.
Yeah.
People wanted Way to never play a snap again in the league.
Someone said, and someone
Like,
very
they want him cut
notable,
immediately.
someone notable in the football community said he should get a fucking 1-year suspension. That was the stupidest thing. Stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen. 22-year-old kid, he made a stupid mistake. He knows it. You can tell when he walked out in that tunnel, he knows it.
Yeah.
He was very emotional about it.
Well, then
and
people were
he
saying
owned
like
up to it.
video,
He
they're like,
owned
oh,
up to
he's
it.
like mad about sorry. sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I'm saying like people were saying that the video, like they thought he was mad that he got ejected. And it's like, I didn't read any of that on his face at all. Like,
No, I think he just regretted what he did.
yeah,
Is what I would say.
like it's a big game, like what's potentially the last game of the season, and end up being the last, and then you get ejected, and you just feel like you let your team down. So
Yeah, I mean,
sorry, Zach.
obviously-
I'm very sorry. I was gonna like try and make it my New Year's resolution to interrupt you last, and I've already failed. So
Yeah.
yeah.
but you were also mean to me for no reason, so maybe I shouldn't even feel bad.
Oh, no reason, right? What you said in the chat was just no reason, right? Okay.
All I said was that we are worthy of your time. Like how lucky of us to be worthy of a minute
Shut
of your
up.
time.
Well, Zach, would you like to finish your thought on
No.
Quay Walker? No, you would
Come
not.
on.
I would just want to say, in like the grander scheme of things, that Rasul Douglas penalty and many other stupid penalties we've seen this year, just the team's discipline, it's not there. I think obviously it's the players doing these actions, but it does also in a way have to come back to coaching. At a certain point, it's just like, how do you go and you have the Rasul penalty, and then LaFleur loses his mind, and then they come out and Quay Walker does that. So it's like, clearly the team isn't all that afraid to do stupid shit, because I guess, I don't know, whether it's just the players or the coaching just not getting to them. We've seen it all year. It's not just that one example. We've seen it all year. Awful. After the play, penalties, just stupidity that can happen. So that's very frustrating. But past that, I feel like we've essentially hit all the bases of this ending of the Packers season. But just before we close out here, Jen, Zach, I guess just any final words on this 2022 Packers season. Jen.
I was gonna say, Zach, do you want to talk?
No.
Zach's done talking.
No, I mean, I think that like I'm so competitive. It's like I wanted them to make it so bad, and I really did believe that they were going to be able to find a way, and maybe we're just like put out of our misery. But I think there's still like a lot of positive moments from this season, and it really sucks the way it ended, but there was still a lot of fun to be had. And I feel like you just kind of have to look back and appreciate every football season for the good that was given. And we got to have a lot of fun, like seeing guys like Watson and Dobbs kind of find their footing in the NFL. And there was I went to a game and I had a lot of fun, and we got to see Keyshawn Nixon just like light it up on special teams. So there's a lot of fun to be had despite not making the playoffs and the record that shows. So I hope that people like don't forget like that you're supposed to enjoy the season, even like through the bad. Like I'm still gonna love this team, and I'm still gonna like think about how much fun I had in those moments, because it's like I'm not gonna look back on this season and be like, man, like that was a waste of like so many months of my life. I just had zero fun. Like no, that like you got to try and find the positives. And because now like we don't get any more football until like meaningful football till September. So yeah, I mean it sucked, but I'm still thankful for another year that we got to watch, and like we all got to come on here and talk about the games and all that good stuff. So yeah, a bummer ending, but I still enjoyed the season for what it was.
Yeah, definitely. Zach, how about you?
It was a transition year. Wait, hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing's changed. And
That's weird. It like sounds different on my headphones, but yeah, it was a transition year. I feel like they shouldn't have even been in a position where they can play into the playoffs if they win. So it's, they were dead in the water at one point. They caught fire, won 4 in a row, and then they couldn't finish, which I unfortunately predicted in early December, which was a complete. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I know what to expect at this point from this football team. So, yeah, it was a transition year. A lot of new faces, a lot of rookies, kind of a little bit of a renovated coaching staff with a lot of moving pieces. No more Luke Getsy, no more Nathaniel Hackett. A new face coordinating the offensive line room. But yeah, that's really it. I mean, there was a point this season where we were all already writing them off. They were dead in the water. They were 4-8, and we were already looking ahead to like, oh, what should they do to lose out and get the best possible draft pick, or when should they play Jordan Love? But like I said, they caught fire.
Yeah,
and they got into a position where none of us thought was feasible, and that showed a lot. I think that showed a lot about what this team is made of. They don't die. They fight. That was the biggest thing about the 2022 Packers, at least midway through the season towards the end. They didn't die. No matter what, they went out swinging. Even when they lost, like when they lost that game in Buffalo, when they lost that game in Philly, they went out swinging. They were fighting all the way to the last snap. And at some point, that reflects on the coaching. That reflects on the guys that they have running that football team, running that organization. So I think there's a lot to look forward to. I think this may have been Brian Gutekunst's best draft class.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be fun watching the development of those rookies, regardless of who the hell is going to be playing at quarterback. I mean, that's going to work itself out just like it has for the last 2-3 years. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for optimism, I think.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. And I will say one thing I do have to give Matt LaFleur and his staff is definitely not just folding at 4-8 and kind of just giving into a lost season, coming back and nearly getting into the playoffs. And I do think that getting that close and not getting in, as tough as it is, I do think a lot of the rookies and the younger players are going to learn from that, because everyone else on this team, it's been 13 wins for the last 3 years. Essentially, the whole roster has been a part of that. And now here's a real setback. And you didn't get saved by some miracle running of the table and you got in the playoffs, and then maybe next year you think, oh, we could kind of screw around and we'll just figure it out and we'll get there. That's not how it works. And this year, for the most part, this team did not play well in almost every phase of the game. And here we are. They're not in the playoffs. They almost got there, but I think every rookie that walked off the field, they have to look back and say like, wow, this takes however hard I thought I was going to have to work, it wasn't even close to it. And I hope that they learn from that and they take that into the offseason and come back better. But like you said, Zach, it is very optimistic. A lot of young talent. Goody really nailed this draft, at least a year in so far. So, yeah, I'm excited about the future of this team. Also, like Zach said, regardless of the quarterback, I think, this team should remain competitive as it always has and always will moving forward, because we're not the Bears, we're not the Vikings, and we are not the Lions. So
I think that's the toughest part too about all the people who it's like we lost and immediately was like, should have tanked, should have lost. Did you enjoy your games? Did you enjoy those 4 wins? And it's like, you don't get to call yourself Title Town and then go out there and tank for a draft pick. So I think that it like you guys both mentioned, showing all that grit through all that adversity. I mean, why would you want to go out there and try and lose games? I mean, you would lose the locker room. What are you teaching the young kids? That, when it's not working in our favor, we're just going to lose and then hope for next year. It's not the Packers way. The Packers way is to try and win as many games as you can and always have that hope for a playoff spot. So I think that's one of the most frustrating things after the game to me was seeing all the people who were well, should have tanked. Did you enjoy it? Yeah, I did enjoy it. I enjoyed those 4 wins. It was a lot of fun because that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun. And I just, I couldn't get behind all the people who that's the first thing you think about at the end of that game is, well, maybe you shouldn't have won any of those games. And I think, that was one of the most frustrating things for me to see, because that's just not how this team, that's not how they function.
Yeah, look, that's just a loser's mindset, which the Packers never have. So, and I'm happy about that. I would gladly take those wins over sitting here at 5-12 and just
no, absolutely not.
So that, I'll take that. I agree with that. And just again, everyone who is here tonight, who has been here the whole season, we appreciate all of you. It has been a ton of fun doing this every week. I'm not saying, I will say, some of you, but no, really, everyone, we appreciate it, and we're still figuring out exactly how we're going to figure out these next couple of weeks. But as you know, open book, even if we're away for a bit, we're never away for too long. We can't do that to you guys. So we will see you soon. But until then, as always, make sure to follow our great producer, Andrew, at Mertens_Andrew. You can find Jen at BigMac_4 and Zachariah at It's Zachary J. And of course, myself at Book of Eli_NFL. And of course, last thing here at the bottom, make sure to follow Game on Wisconsin at Game on WI and subscribe on YouTube at Game on Wisconsin. Everybody, it was a fun season. It was it was a season. And we will see you. We will see you when we see you. Good night, everybody.
What you think, Fred? All right, Fred. Dude, you're an idiot.
I'm doing very well, Jen. It's just going to be me and you, or Eli and Zach going to pop in.
Yeah, they'll talk every once in a while.
Every now and then we'll try.
He was already here right away.
It kind of, we're used to you attacking us, so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's just put it this way. Who do you see as the quarterback week 1 for the